Hello, every pony. We are.
It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our show. So let us not make ceremony and begin.
Sure. Let's get this show on the road. Welcome to our Nightmare Night special. In the spirit of the season, we decided to dress up for this occasion. This episode we will be reviewing not one, but two videos. We're going to review the episode Luna Eclipsed and our first fan-made video review of Children of the Night. I'm so excited because both videos are starred by my favorite and best princess, Princess Luna.
Ah, Princess Luna. Oh, you think darkness is your ally, but you merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then it was nothing to me but blinding.
Seriously, dude?
Fine.
I am just gonna start off by saying that Luna Eclipsed is one of my favorite episodes of all time. I only wish that the hub would show it more often. They constantly skip it without any reason. You'd be lucky if they show it at most 5 times a year.
I also like this episode, but I have to agree, they don't show this episode nearly enough, especially on Halloween.
So we begin the episode with Twilight and Spike getting ready to go to the Nightmare Night Festival. Twilight is dressed as a powerful unicorn known as Starswirl the Bearded. Unfortunately, no pony in town knows who that is. And Spike is...
I'm a dragon!
I don't... My head hurts that I can't point out the stupidity of this scene.
Speaking of costumes, I like how Twilight thinks she's a badass in her Starswirl the Bearded costume. As for Spike, I wish they could have been a little more creative in his costume. Then again, he might be trying to be an actually scary dragon. I also like how nobody recognizes who Twilight is supposed to be. I can relate to that. A few years ago, I went to a Halloween party as a brute from Halo 2. Which was homemade, and no one there knew what it was. They thought I was a gorilla. So I feel you there, Twilight.
Once Twilight and Spike arrived at the festival, we learned the origin of Nightmare Night by Sakura. The tale is about Nightmare Moon, who takes little children in the middle of the night and eats them. To save themselves, the children dress up in costumes to fool Nightmare Moon, and offer her candy as tribute so she will spare them for another year. Because of this story, Nightmare Moon has been portrayed as the boogeyman in this world, and every pony, not just the children, but also the adults fear her. Something a certain princess allowed to grow and teaches future generations to fear and hate her.
The origins of this holiday are very similar to Halloween, and not just because it's a holiday special. Although it's debatable on where the certain Halloween traditions came from, it is believed by some that the tradition of trick-or-treating came from the Celtic holiday of Samhain, also known as Summer Ends, which the Celts would go home to home collecting food for a large feast. It is also believed that in other similar pagan holidays that it was the time of year when ghosts, fairies, and other supernatural creatures came easily into our world. It is said that they would wear costumes to either hide or scare off these evil creatures, which might be the origins of wearing costumes on Halloween. But back to the episode, as the two go into town for the celebration, they find some of the other members of the main six doing various holiday activities, although I didn't notice that Rarity wasn't in this episode, which was weird to me.
Then the Princess of the Night herself makes an appearance after a whole year to join in the festivities. And does she make an entrance or what? When Princess Luna arrives, she wants to change Nightmare Night from a night of terror to a night of joy. Unfortunately, due to every pony's fear of her dark self, And from Pinkie Pie's statement,
Nightmare Moon says she's gonna feast on us all! Ah!
the town doesn't give her the attention she wanted. It pisses me off at how the town and part of the main six treat Luna, even though they know that she is no longer evil.
Keep in mind that Luna did come in a flash of thunder and lightning, so she didn't exactly make a cheerful entrance. How can anyone not misinterpret that? Upset Luna then leaves the festival. I find this episode very interesting. To me, it appears that Luna is still dealing with the same insecurities she had since before becoming Nightmare Moon. She still has the desire to connect with her subjects and to be appreciated for her role as a princess, but she is unable to because of their preconceived notions that they have of her as a figure of darkness. Even more so, especially now that she has the memory of Nightmare Moon hanging over her shoulders.
Twilight then approaches Luna and tries to make conversation with her, but finds it difficult with Princess Luna's 1,000-year-old behavior. You'd think that after Luna returned from her banishment, Princess Celestia would bring Luna up to date on the world's culture before she went out. Again, showing how Celestia isn't being a good sister to Luna.
Not necessarily. Luna may have already been aware of the changes of the last 1,000 years. It may be just that she has not yet got used to them. After all, old habits are hard to break, especially since she's only been back for a year.
Twilight then takes it upon herself to help Luna fit in and tries to help her get reconnected with her subjects. To get her started, Twilight takes her to Fluttershy's to help her control the volume of her voice. Unfortunately, Fluttershy's fear of Nightmare Night and Nightmare Moon makes this difficult, and she doesn't give off a good first impression to the princess and doesn't help her out, leaving Twilight to help Luna herself. As soon as Luna was starting to feel happy about her progress, Pinkie Pie then shows up again at the wrong time, and after seeing a catatonic Fluttershy in Luna's grasp, she runs away with a group of children screaming. Returning to the festival, the town's residents still show their fear of Luna. Twilight then introduces the princess to Applejack, who also shows her fear of the princess even though she knows that she is no longer evil. But after a quick recovery, Applejack shows Luna how to have fun, which helps her image to the town, showing for once, since she arrived, the town's ponies are starting to like her.
Apparently Luna's had a very boring childhood since she doesn't know what fun is.
Luna then addresses everyone to refer to her by her name instead of her title, showing how less formal she is than her sister.
I have to disagree with you. From previous episodes, Celestia has shown to have a more laid-back personality compared to Luna's more intense attempts to communicate. If anything, Luna's learning to be less formal.
But of course, Pinkie Pie is showing up at the wrong time and every pony is starting to fear her again. Luna tries to repair the damage, but unfortunately it doesn't work. This is also where we see more of Luna's godlike powers, as she turns toy spiders into living spiders.
What say you to this?
With every pony running around screaming, causing chaos in the process, Luna's anger gets the best of her as she announces that she is canceling Nightmare Night forever.
Seriously, Luna just can't catch a break in this episode.
Twilight taking matters in her own hooves, she confronts Pinkie Pie into hoping that if she can show her that Luna is no longer evil and will stop frightening every pony. This is when Pinkie Pie reveals that she knows that Luna is not evil, and the reason that she keeps running away and screaming is because, and I quote,
"Sometimes it's just really fun to be scared."
Fun?
As in figuring out that every pony is acting the same way, Twilight convinces Luna that it's all for fun. Now this is where I gotta say something here. We know Pinkie Pie's reason for this, and we can assume that she taught the group of kids that were hanging out with her that it's fun to be scared. But we can't say it's the same reason with every pony in town. From their reactions, it looks like that their fear was genuine and not fake.
Well, what do you expect? Glowing eyes, dark-sounding voice, big-ass spiders, and unleashing thunder and lightning? How could they not be scared out of their minds? I'm surprised some of them didn't soil themselves. As for what Pinkie said about being scared can be fun, isn't that what Halloween's all about? After all, why do so many people watch horror movies or go to haunted houses during this time of year? By embracing what they fear, the ponies of Equestria have been able to turn Nightmare Nights from a day of dread to one of celebration, much like we have done with Halloween. Yes, Pinkie Pie may have gone a little overboard and didn't consider Luna's feelings, but that doesn't make her wrong about what she said.
I'm not saying what she said was wrong. I'm just saying she doesn't speak for every pony. Now we move on to the lesson.
I'm happy to report that all of Ponyville has learned that even if some pony seems a little intimidating, even scary, when you offer them your friendship, you'll discover a whole new pony underneath.
Wait a minute. Why does this episode sound familiar? Oh, I know. It's the same lesson from the episode Brittle Gossip. This episode's lesson follows the same thing, which is basically don't judge a book by its cover. It's the same lesson, only said differently.
I think another interesting thing about this episode is that we get to see a little more into Luna's psyche. Her desire for acceptance and praise, along with her social awkwardness, makes me think of her as still a teenager. Remember, both her and Celestia don't age the same way as all the other ponies do, and while Celestia has matured more into an adult in the last 1,000 years, Luna hasn't. What this episode shows is Luna's growth as a character by her coming to terms that Nightmare Moon will always be part of her past, and by embracing the spirit of the holiday and what it means, the residents of Ponyville in turn are able to embrace her as part of their celebration, thus allowing Luna to gain the acceptance and praise she has desired for so long.
I will say this, that this was an excellent episode. Hard to believe that this was written by M.A. Larson. Besides that, I'm gonna rate this episode a 9 out of 10.
As for me, I think this was a good episode, if not great. It was funny and all the feels. So I'm actually giving this episode a 10 out of 10. Just so you know, I'm not being biased here. I just can't think of anything I didn't like about this episode. I'm hoping that when they finally make a Celestia episode, it will be just as awesome.